First things first, James. How are you?
A little bit tired, but very well, thank you. Very
That's
well.
good to hear. So before we dive into the album rituals, I'd like to go back to the beginning a little bit.
Cool.
When did you realize that your appreciation for music was a little bit different than most people around you?
I think at a very young age, like I never really had a plan of what I wanted to do, but I always knew that I always wanted to play guitar since I was a tiny child. I only started when I was around 11, but since I was like 5 years old, I had a guitar, but it was like a toy one, you know. I always knew I wanted to play guitar. So I think, but when I really realised, I think it was when I was around 11, 12, 13, really early teens, because I just became so obsessed with music, and it wasn't like a thing that I did occasionally. It wasn't like a background thing as it is for some people. It was like my entire life revolved around anything to do with music. So yeah, I think when I was early teens was when I really realised.
Who was the first artist or some of the first that captured your attention?
The first ever was Michael Jackson.
Okay.
As I'm sure it is for many people.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah. But then when I really became interested in music, I guess early Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff I was super into. I used to love Metallica.
Okay.
I don't know, just anything. I always had a very like, I never liked just one style of music. I was always into anything that was good. I liked rap music. I liked really, really heavy metal. I like acoustic music, and it was always the same. It was never, I don't know, I never really had like a restriction. So I just wanted as much music as I could get.
So was it at that early of an age, around 11, that you knew, okay, I want to be a musician? This is the only thing I'm good for.
I don't know. I don't really remember. I'm not sure whether I don't think I thought that was a possibility. You know, I thought I didn't think I would ever be able to play music for a living. So I always knew I wanted to be a musician, but I didn't know that I could probably make a career out of it. So I guess in a sense, yeah, it was something that I always wanted to do, but I just didn't really believe that I would be able to.
Let's leave the career aspect here to the side for now. Then, when you, because you played in all kinds of bands with some of the guys you're in the band with now, what was the feeling that it gave you being in that group of people, but also being able to express yourselves in whatever venue you could find?
It was just freedom, really. Like, I imagine some people get that feeling from sport, or some people get it from... It was the thing that I needed. I think we were kind of, not rejects, but we weren't like cool kids. We weren't like, we didn't play sports. We were like these sort of semi-weird, and we weren't like nerds. We weren't super intelligent either, so we were sort of just in this middle bit. And music just gave us something that made us feel like we weren't outcasts, you know. And it was just a common interest that we all had, and it was the reason we became friends, I believe. And it became everything to us. It was, especially where we grew up, was so small. There was nothing to do, so music was just like an escape, really.
Well, because you are from Norfolk, if I'm correct. Yeah. What was the reaction to you guys trying to pursue this dream? How did that go over?
It was. I think even we didn't think we would ever get outside of Norfolk, because it's such a, like, luckily I'm not actually from there. I just moved there when I was like 11, but it's a strange place. Like, the people that I've been back a couple of times, and the people that were in my class at school, they still work in the same jobs that they did when we left, and they have like tons of kids now, and I don't know, like it's nice, but it's a very weird place that no one ever seems to leave. And even if they do leave, they go back to it, you know. But I always wanted to get out because it freaked me out. But I think nobody actually believed that we could create enough sort of interest to actually get us out of Norfolk. And even we didn't. We were just happy to be playing in like a pub or in a school assembly, anything, you know. Like, we were just happy to be playing. But yeah, I don't think anyone believed we'd get out, but somehow we did.
What was the turning point in your eyes, if you look back?
The turning point was when I think probably the first show we got in London, because I mean, we did play outside of Norfolk, but it was like Suffolk, which is directly next to it, so it's not like a big jump. But then I think I was around maybe 18, and we got our first show in London, and I was, even though I knew it wasn't going to be like a big show and maybe there would be no one there, I was still like, okay, so somebody has heard our band and booked us outside of Norfolk, and I was like, maybe this can happen again. But yeah, that was when I really realised that maybe we can do it.
And we don't have time to go through all the albums in depth, but one thing that struck me about the albums is they're all very different.
Yeah.
Was that a very conscious decision to not try to make the same album?
I don't think so, and I think looking back, it was a strange thing to do because it kind of throws people off. Like if a fan gets invested in a record and the next one sounds completely different, it's like, oh. But I think it just comes from the fact that we like so many different kinds of music. We just, I don't know, we just get bored quite easily, and we want to express ourselves in different ways, I think. And I don't think it was conscious. I think that's just how the songs came out. It's pretty weird, and I'm not sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but
it's just trying to keep yourself interested.
Exactly, yeah.
So, if we go to Rituals, then I think you kind of took a whole different approach, and then I heard you explain this in many other interviews, so I won't go into that too much, but the idea of, because it is, or at least is perceived as being a lot more poppy, the idea that pop is a bad word these days. How do you feel about that? It's a strange...
I mean, I agree. I would agree with that statement for many years. I would say pop was a bad word. And then I started to actually listen to what is considered pop music and realise that those early Michael Jacksons or boy bands or whatever we were into are coming back, and there's something in me that does enjoy it. It's not my favourite. It doesn't give me everything I need. Like it doesn't give me. I'm not gonna. If I feel sad, I'm not gonna put on like a Justin Bieber record, you know. But I realise that it's not as bad as. I don't think it's as bad as it is perceived to be in the rock world, you know. And also, the reason behind it for Rituals is I think I wanted to experiment with like really depressing lyrics and then really sort of upbeat poppy sounds, because I love that juxtaposition, and I don't know, I think it was interesting. But yeah, I used to be totally against. I used to be very like no pop.
But that's an interesting point, the juxtaposition between heavy lyrics in a sense and very happy sounding music, and this is something that shines through, I suppose, in styles like reggae and a certain Motown
absolutely.
types of music. So what got you into this kind of?
For me, it was a band called the Smiths from Manchester, because their music, not all of their music, but some of their music is like really uplifting, like jangly indie guitars, and the lyrics he's singing are just so depressing, and I think it's. The thing that interests me is the fact that if somebody listens to that music and doesn't pay attention to the lyrics, they can think it's a happy, uplifting song. But if you really read into it, it's about like murders and like depression and all this horrible stuff. So like that was the band that got me into it, and that was what I thought was interesting as well. And I wanted to create that on Rituals. So if people just want to listen to like a pop song and not think about anything, they can have that on there. But if people really want to read into the lyrics and get sad, then they can do that too.
So there's still a bit of substance as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.